Rose wrote, Dear Aja, my question is, having experienced oneness and love of the whole, it appears that there was no strong foundation. I seem to be back in choice. What can I do to strengthen the realization that I am one and be open to the love of the whole without fear? With deep gratitude, Rose. Yeah, I mean, it's not uncommon at all. We have certain revelatory experiences, and everything seems quite clear. And when things seem quite clear, it seems like you could never lose it. And then maybe at some point, the kind of aperture of that clarity seems to narrow down. Now, even when and if that happens, it never goes back to the same as totally closed down. It's like, it may seem like the aperture closes down, but if you really notice, there's always, if we'd really had a true awakening, there's always some element of that realization that's still there, that it's always with us. Of course, the mind wants to, okay, well, I want it to be as big as it was the first moment I saw it, or, you know, whatever the mind wants. It wants to be in some really blown open sort of state. That's understandable. You're not saying that, Rose, I understand, but I'm just talking in generalities here, that often there's something in this that would like that, so the aperture closes. So again, this is a bigger sort of a big issue that I can only talk about in a small way at the moment. But so what I would suggest, which is to see if you can just notice in your experience what revealed itself in that experience of unity. If you weren't looking for it to be as big and as clear and everything as when it was big and clear, but you actually just acknowledged however it's shown up now. Maybe it's just a little bit, maybe it's very subtle. But so if you can let go of wanting it to be as big and obvious as it was, and just almost intuitively sense into how it's appearing now, and just give your attention to that. That's a kind of surrender too. That's, or devotion might be a better word. So devote yourself to what is still there rather than for longing what isn't. And it's a kind of surrender to the ego, because the ego does want the full-blown unity experience. But by just giving attention, which is really giving yourself, it's a giving yourself. By giving yourself to what is there, that what is there kind of grows in your experience. And that's the way I see this working for probably most people. It's the way I like to explain this. It's as if, to tell a story, it's as if sort of God goes, okay, I'm going to make this as obvious as we can possibly make it here. And you get this, revelatory awakening experience. Wow, I can't miss that. And God goes, okay, that was a freebie. All right, now, if you want to live in that, now you got to give it everything. So it's free. It's free the first time. The second time it costs everything. What I mean by costs everything, it's almost like I said, like some divine force goes, here, I'm going to make it super obvious. And I'm going to come to you in a way. And then at some point, it kind of reverses. And now it's that little thread of realization that's there. It's as if now that thread of realization is saying, now you come to me. Now you give all your attention to this thread. And don't keep asking it to be bigger or better or different. Just give yourself to what's given. And that's a kind of surrender to the ego to do that. But when you give your attention without grasping, then it sort of broadens out, but in a much more stable and sustainable way. So that little that trajectory that I just described, I would say that's how awakening unfolds for probably nine out of 10 people that have some awakening experience. There's some version of what I just tried to articulate that happens, and understanding what's being asked of you is important. So attend to that thread of the realization that's still there. Focus more on giving your attention to it, giving yourself to it, rather than wanting it to be any other way than it is. And as you do that, it will broaden and stabilize. That's the trajectory.